as you can see in the past examination paper, I focus on the principle, and then you understand how the principle works, and then you give me some example illustrating those principles. I always do that. And you can expect it is the same thing you're expecting for your examination as well. You understand the principle, and then you can show me some real examples of the controls, of the risk example, and then how you demonstrate that example relating to that principle, you score full marks. Supply chain, the key issue must be the key issue must be, we know that supply chain risk is the most complicated one, since when you try to implement some of the strategy, it will always automatically having impact to other aspects. You will reduce the supply chain capacity. Automatically, you are relying on some of the loops more often. That means increasing those loop vitality, and therefore you have to show me how to relate with each other. They are competing with each other. When you propose, when you describe some of the controls, how are they impacting on this VR and VR? Say, for example, if you are telling me, okay, one of the control is increasing the inventory of your raw material, then looking at the capacity, okay, may not impact the capacity, but you may be increasing the load vitality, since you're having more inventory in a particular warehouse, and then increasing the value, security problem arise, things like that. You have to let me know you understand the sort of the beauty of the competing issues. This is the key issue in the supply chain management. And when we are talking about the supply chain, when we are talking about the product recall thing, the product recall thing is always focusing on the three areas. That means avoidance, infrastructure, and administration. We always talk about these three areas, but I'm not going to examine that in the examination. I'm not going to examine the product risk, since it is when I go through in the lecture, it is too high level for you. I don't want you just reciting things that's meaningless, and therefore I'm not going to examine that. Supply chain interruption. This is sort of a business continuity management. We know that when we are doing that example, time criticality, how we are going to determine the time criticality, we have to consider different aspects, and how those criteria or aspects affecting your decision. You have to give me some example. Of course, maybe if you like, you can give the mouse example once again. How to demonstrate how you consider, how are you going to decide which of them are more time critical, and also different type of strategies. Those strategies have, of course, they have impact. Doing nothing means that they may have to face the consequences when the problems hit in. But the good thing is that you don't have additional investment. You have to let me know that sort of common sense pros and cons, and how you're going to implement that in a in-house business strategy. We have another outsourcing scenario here. In terms of the security side, we have different types of issues, mainly on the disappearance and also the imposer. How we are going to combat that sort of issue. Okay. last one is BCM. BCM's most confusing, most difficult. Okay. The key thing here in business continuity management, always BIA. That's why in the lecture I spend so much time to talk about the business impact analysis. When you do the BIA, you remember why you have to do the BIA. BIA, the main reason you do it is you want to know how critical, how time critical the activity is, and also there's interdependence between different activities so that when you're designing the recovery sequence, you know which one should go first. Remember the 40 hours example we have discussed. You have to count for the cycling time, things like that, in order to decide whether the pasta case of the mouse should, the manufacturing process should go first, or the assembly part also go first. And when you are considering all this issue, you have to understand this diagram. This diagram is one of the key things in BCM that you have to bear in mind. You have to understand what is RTO, what is MBCO, why are they important. Of course, the definition is also useful. But as I mentioned, BIA is very important. That's why when you are conducting the BIA, you have to first identify the time critical activities. Otherwise, you don't know which of them are the more critical one. And then you have to determine the minimum level and also the dependency so that you know which one should go first and how much resources that they have to use since you determine the minimum level of activity, and then you will have to you will be able to tell how much resources in terms of manpower, in terms of IT resources, physical desks, and that sort of things, so that you can have a plan. Okay, A activity should go first after 3 hours of the incident because they have to the outputs have to provide to other processes. Other processes they add up to 5 hours cycling time, and then all the way we can achieve the SLA of delivering the end product within 12 hours. Things like that. You have to visualize picture of the whole process map in your mind, so that you can tell why we are doing the BIA. When we talk about the resources requirement, there are so many of them. We have, of course, the manpower, the work pace, we have IT system, we have business record, so far and so forth, and also talk about utilities as well. And each of the requirement that we have some description why they are so important. In terms of recovery strategy, just like the supply chain one, always we have an option to do nothing, to then do the repair and review at the time of disaster. Then you have to understand what will be the cost and what will be the benefit. We have talked about the hot sites and warm site and cold site. When you are trying to propose that sort of solutions, you have to bear in mind that warm site, what is a warm site, how long normally does it take for a warm site to be operational, what are they good for, which kind of processes are good for put in the warm site or cold site. You have the judgment to tell me. And emergency response and crisis management is very important, but in our examination we are not going to examine that. since most of you haven't got a work experience, then this is quite difficult for you to grab some of the concept here. Especially about the crisis communication, it is too much for you. Disaster recovery planning, you have to understand that DR is actually the continuity of IT system. That means when we are talking about BCM, if the activity itself, you are relying on some of the critical system, then those critical systems must be up and running with appropriate data in it, so that for your operation or for your activity to run. And therefore, there are some relationship between the BIA and DR. Once you identify some of the critical activities in the BIA, and then you will know those activities, what kind of system they will use, and then you know the RTO of that particular activities, and then you will know that particular system when it should be up for the business, for the activity to be up and running. And therefore, we know that we have got a capability. That means, yes, we have a business objective, but currently our IT is only capable to restore the system within certain period of time. Is it matched with the RTO required by the business? If not, that means either you have to invest or you have to revise your business RTO. That means you are trying to accept the risk, not having the recovery as soon as you want. Same thing for RPO, talking about the data point. You can see that DR is more or less the same doing the BIA, since we are always talking about the interdependency, which of the systems should be recovered first. And when we are talking about the DR procedures, there are four main areas. You have to resume or recover the level infrastructure. That means the physical thing. How to make the configuration, the physical IP address, connectivity requirement, firewall rules, things like that. When we are talking about the system level, we have to know about the OS configuration, settings, software setting, those parameter patches, things like that. In terms of the end user's workstation, that means every single desktop or laptop the end user are using. You have to know about the configuration, any kind of special software install they have to use. Otherwise, you give them the computer, they don't have the software,